Have you ever tried to figure out how long your book should be? That's the topic I'm addressing today in The Right Question. I'm the publication coach, Daphne Gray Grant. I have a question from Madeline Anderson, a writer based in Washington, D.C. Here's the question she asked me via email. I'm working on a book, a political thriller. So far I have about 50,000 words, and I wonder how many more I need to write. What are the typical word counts for books, and what are the expectations of agents and publishers? Thanks for the question, Madeline. While some of us might steel ourselves to the work of counting the number of words in a magazine article, none of us would be willing to do that for a book. Way too boring. Nevertheless, agents and publishers work with very specific word counts in mind, and if you vastly fail to meet them or vastly exceed them, your book won't go very far. The magic number to know is 80,000 words. That's the accepted average for most books, with the exception of sci-fi and fantasy, but I'll get to those in a moment. Now, you can go a little bit longer if you like, say 90,000 words. You can also go a little bit shorter as well. My recent book, Your Happy First Draft, is 70,000 words. But if you're dramatically higher or lower than 80,000 words, publishers and agents are going to look askance at you. If your manuscript is too short, they'll think you've deprived your readers and not given them enough information. If your manuscript is too long, they'll think you haven't done enough editing, and they'll probably be right about that. Now, of course, there are exceptions. On the short end of the range, there's Ian McEwan's 40,000 word On Chesil Beach. But he'd won the Booker Prize before he wrote that one, and besides, many people call it a novella rather than a novel. And at the long end, there's Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, which clocked in at 587,287 words. But keep in mind that McEwan now and Tolstoy in his day were both famous writers. If you're a famous writer, you may be given the chance to rewrite the rulebook. If you're a new writer, you won't. People often wrongly think that J.K. Rowling escaped this rule. But she didn't, at least not until she became famous. Her first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, was 76,944 words, exactly within the range I've described. Her second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, was 85,141 words, still within the expected range. In fact, she didn't go really crazy until her fifth book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and that one was 257,045 words. But she was one of the most famous best-selling authors in history at that point. By the way, I've provided links to all the books I've mentioned below. Now, as promised, let me address the category of sci-fi and fantasy. This genre runs long because the authors need to create alternative worlds, and that kind of work takes more words. Still, you don't want to go too much longer. The recommended length is 100,000 to 115,000 words. Keep in mind that whatever your genre, publishers and agents don't want you to go on too long. It creates more work for them, it makes printing more expensive, and it suggests, however mildly, that perhaps you haven't done quite enough editing. Finally, let me wrap up with a quote from the writer, Nobel laureate, and Holocaust survivor, Elie Wiesel. Writing is not like painting where you add. It is not what you put on the canvas that the reader sees. Writing is more like sculpture where you remove, you eliminate in order to make the work visible. Madeline, it sounds as though you have only 20 to 30,000 more words left to write. You might want to sketch out where you are with your plot. If you're not at least 60% through, you're likely to have a problem. See if there's some plot points you can tighten or some characters you can cut. And congratulations on getting as far as you have already.